I use a tape measure almost every single day. Today, I want to review 6 different tape measures that I've used in 6 different categories that I think are most important. Let's take a look at our tape measure lineup. For our first tape measure, we have the Tool Shop, which is Menard's house brand. Second, we have the Festool. Number 3 is the 25-foot Harbor Freight. Next, we have the Fastcap 25 Story Pole. We also have the Fastcap 16, lefty righty, and last off we have the old tried and true Stanley Powerlock 25. I'll have a link down in the description for each of these tape measures and also if they do have a metric counterpart. All right, let's talk about price. Personally, I use a tape measure a lot, like every day pretty much. So it's not that price is no object, but for me, I'm okay spending a little bit more in a tool that's going to be used a lot. That being said, one of these tape measures costs 10 times as much as the other. So let's pull a Scrooge McDuck and dive right in. For the prices, the Tool Shop is $3.53, but you can often get it cheaper on sales. Festool cost me $27 when I bought it a couple of years ago. The Harbor Freight normal price is $3.99, but if you get a coupon, you can generally get them for free. The Fastcap 25 is $11.21. The Fastcap 16 is $7.99, and the Stanley is $9.74. So the Festool comes in last place at $27. The best price really is going to be the free coupons of the Harbor Freight, although the Tool Shop technically has a lower price if you're just going to go out and buy it. Next, let's talk about accuracy. The way that I'm going to measure the accuracy of the tape measures is I'm going to go out to the 12-inch mark. I'm going to measure between that and the 18-inch and see how close that is to 6 inches. So all the tape measures were accurate within the width of their lines, except for the Festool. It actually ended up being about 12 thousandths short, which I'm really surprised. I would have thought the Festool would be the most accurate. The first test that we're interested in is blade standout. That's how long that the blade can come out of the tape measure before it flops down. And the winner is the Stanley Powerlock 25 with a standout of over 90 inches on average. And the loser is the Festool. The next thing that I want to look at is tape measure feel. This is the ergonomics of the tape measure. So this is a little bit subjective, but I think is really important for a tool that gets used, especially in your hands, all the time. What I like about the Tool Shop is it's got these nice smooth edges. Feels very nice in my hand. It's not too big. The blade pulls out nicely. So I think this one actually feels really nice to me. The Festool is also nice because it's small, fits in my hand. I don't like how angular these edges are. Even though there's a chamfer in it, still doesn't feel great in my hand. I'm not super happy with the blade pull out. Feels like it's fighting against me. It's a little bit big, but nice and rounded over. It's got to be bigger to take that 1-inch tape. The pull-out feels a little rough. It's easy, but I can hear and feel it binding up. The Fastcap Story Pole, this one, large like the Harbor Freight. Again, it's got that 1-inch blade on it, but it pulls out really nice. I feel no jamming. It's also nice and rounded over. The lefty-righty, you'd think it would feel about the same since the blade is the same 1-inch, but it is not as angular, or it is more angular than the 25, and I don't know why. I do not like the feel of this one in my hand. The Stanley Powerlock is huge. I am not a big fan of how this feels in my hand. It just feels so big. The blade comes out ultra smooth, snaps back in nice. It's metal, and like that feels good that it's metal, but again, I don't like how sharp these corners are, and it is just too big. So not a huge fan of this one in my hand either. So for me, my favorite in the hand is this Story Pole 25-footer. My least favorite is actually going to be the Stanley Power Lock. Let's talk about durability. Now this one is also slightly subjective. Some tape measures I've had for 15 years, some I've had for just a few years. So more wear is going to be more tear. But I think I can show a couple of things that are broke and talk about also when I notice some of the big major breaks, and hopefully that'll help give a little bit of view how they've held up, at least for me. For our durability on the tool shop, my issue is that blade doesn't fully retract. Right at the end, it's super loose. Granted, I have a bunch of these, and only this guy has done that, but anyways, there is maybe some little bit of durability issues there, but not much. Everything else on the rest are good. The Festool, that's the bummer on this guy. This actually broke within about a year of me having it. Not super happy with that guy. Harbor Freight, I talked a little bit about it. It feels a little grindy. I think something happened in there. Although the snap on it feels pretty good. You can tell something is grinding on it. It's rubbing off that paint. The clip broke on it though relatively quick, probably because it's a plastic clip. My Story Pole, this thing still works really nice. It's not the tightest snap, but you can see the underside. It's still pretty good after all this time. Clip still works, pencil sharpener still works. The lock is great on it still. So I like this guy, he's held up. Here's my other Story Pole. It's newer, hasn't been used as much. Definitely snaps in better than the other one. I think that actually has more to do with it being a 16-foot and this big body though, but nothing's broken on this. I know online some people have had some issues with the Fastcap, but so far I'm really happy with them. Then we have the Stanley Power Lock. Very nice, everything's still working really good with it. I've used these on work sites a bunch of times throughout my life. We have these at work. I'm actually going to give the durability win to the Stanley. Next up is readability. For marking readability with the tool shop, you have no extra markings, just the divisions at 1/16 of an inch. You do have the marks for studs in the US, and then also the black diamond for engineered joists. So that is nice from a construction standpoint, very standard. For the Festool, you don't get any US markings of the stud spacing, which is okay. You also don't get any listing, just the normal gradations at 1/16. One nice thing is you are able to see this 1 foot 4 inches, 1 foot 5 inches. So I like that feature of it. It's one little extra thing, but still pretty basic. For our Pittsburgh tool from Harbor Freight, what's nice is you get the just typical, not much, but then on the other side, you get the divisions of it. So that's a pretty nice thing. You also get the stud markings or the center for the US. So that's nice. This one is definitely better, I think, than the other two. For the 25-foot Story Pole, we've got our US markings for studs at 16, as well as our diamond for engineering. You also have very long gradations, which I like, and they're all listed out with those red in the 16ths. I really like looking at this one. For the 16-foot Fastcap righty-lefty, we've got the 16-inch. Now, we are missing that marking for the engineered joists in the US, so that might be a little bit of a bummer, but probably isn't that big of a deal for most people. What's really nice is you get them on both sides. For that Stanley, we've got the most basic, again, just the gradations. We've got the stud markings and the engineering. So this is your very simple construction one. All of my tape measures are special to me, but some are more special than others. Let's look at what differentiates some of these tape measures and what are my favorite features. Sadly, the Stanley, Tool Shop, or Pittsburgh don't have any special features, so they're out of the running on this one, although that might be a plus for you. Now for the Fastcaps, what's really cool about them is that you can write on them. I feel like these really are designed for the carpenter or woodworker more than the construction site with this function, but I've used it all sorts of places. You can write on these faces and it erases really nice. Plus, you can open up the blade and you can write on there. You can circle the measurements that you need to remember. And what's really cool about the story pull is you can pull that out and then you can write at the bottom of it. So that is really awesome as well. Festool can measure the inside of boxes. You just put in the tape measure, push it up against the two sides, and then on the top of it at that red line, it tells you how long you have measured. The second cool thing is you can make circles with it. You unflip the bottom piece and there's a little pin, and then you can pull out your measure, and again, looking at the top, you can say how far that you want it to be. Then you can slip your pencil in that little hole and then put it around. Now, one thing is you do have to hold it down. The pin isn't very large, but these are two really cool features. Honestly, the circle is really cool. I like using those. I used it on my video for making a Viking shield. And so I think for the uniqueness of those features, the Festool wins. I know there are tons of other tape measures and even types of tape measures that we didn't talk about today. So if you could leave a comment down below with what your favorite tape measure is, that'd be really awesome. Thanks for doing that. And the winner is Fastcap Story Poll. If this has been useful to you, consider subscribing. It really helps the channel out. You can even hit that bell notification so you don't miss any more of my videos. Thanks so much for watching, and take care. We're done.